Hi, I'm Kato. Before I get started, I just want to say, and this is coming from the bottom of my heart, I want to address the issue and offer my sincere apologies and move on. I posted Rani SUCKS on December 22nd in 2020. I had no idea that so many people would be against me on this, and I just want to say, I don't give a fuck! Silly viewer, you should know by now that YouTubers never genuinely apologize for their actions. And I'd never apologize for the absolute truth. I hate Rani, she's awful. But going back to my original Rani SUCKS video, I realized I seriously didn't explain my points at all. Sure, I showed my stuff, but I don't think this many people would have yelled at me if I just explained it a little better to show my genuine criticism of Rani, and not that I just hate this abomination of an Asiatic lion. Also, let's just say it aged really poorly. Fun fact. Someone tried to get me kicked off the Night Pride series because I am, quote-unquote, rude and hate Rani. Obviously, it didn't work. So here's a better look on what makes this character a walking trash bag. And as a bonus, I'll also be later showing what I do to make her into less of a trash bag and more of a decently okay character. So let's just dive in. Balio attacks the guard first on a mindless assumption because my perfect little boy just may be a bit stupid. This is a fact. Balio completely pummels Kion. He clearly attacks first, and the Night Pride follows shortly after. Keep this in mind. Fully yells out, "What's going on?" as a clear indication that she sees this just as an attack on her friends. Since Kion is down at that moment, she becomes the leader as she has since the middle of the season while Kion rests because of his scar. Because like a reasonable person, she wants to defend herself against an entire team of lions that attack for seemingly no reason. Beshti attacks Nirmala and Surok first, so there's no blame on them, and they're smart enough to not attack back. Rani straight up attacks Fuli while she's trying to suggest that this is a misunderstanding. To that, Rani replies,
"Misunderstanding? Is that what you call this rock slide?"
Yes, Rani. That is exactly what you call a rock slide or natural disaster that commonly occurs in nature or as a result of a simple accident. May I bring up the point that even if the guard was invading the Tree of Life, a rock slide would give them literally no tactical advantage whatsoever? Anyone can climb over it, and even if you couldn't, it still blocks them from getting into the tree. If you had any form of brain cells, you'd think that maybe the people trying to clear away the rock slide from the entrance might be decently okay people, since they're cleaning up a mess they can easily go over if they're attempting a raid. It can clearly be explained by an accident because only a powerful anime character would just cause a random rock slide inconveniencing both sides just to showcase their power. You can just see the desperation and confusion in Fuli's eyes. I feel so bad that she has to deal with this shit when all she wants is her friend to get better.
And your lion friend attacking my little brother is an accident too?
Rani, that is basic self-defense. Rani witnessed with her own eyes that Balio started the fight and very well knew that he attacked the guard first. Why is she so understanding when Beshti had his whole episode of everyone being afraid of him because she understood the minimal amount of detail? Fuli is giving them to her, but Rani just isn't listening. She's literally ignoring everything wrong happening on her end, so no wonder it's a huge mess. Kion roars in complete self-defense, and Rani denies them access, even though they were the ones clearly getting attacked. That's like punching someone in the face, then calling the police on the victim because they pushed you away so you wouldn't punch them in the face again. Rani can't even think to connect the dots with Kion's roar being a part of what he needs help with. Kion is so sincere apologizing to her, and she just lets her emotions get in the way of the fact that accidents happen and people can be destructive without meaning it at all. Also, this is just filler conflict that really didn't need to happen. They really tried to speedrun enemies to lovers, huh? I didn't include this exchange in my last video, but I think it really applies to her awfulness.
I need help.
I'm sure you do. But your roar sent my brother flying. I can only imagine the damage you could do to everyone living at the Tree of Life.
I swear, Rani is the type of person to say just be happy to someone who's clinically depressed. You should not be the person protecting a place of healing if you can't understand that medical issues aren't just physical or mundane. And Kion has a very open physical characteristic with his scar. How did she not get this? She has one of her own! Yes, destructive behavior can absolutely put others in danger, but pushing that thing away is a horrible thing to do for a place that's supposed to be a sanctuary of healing. I will eventually talk about the underlying themes of mental health in the Lion Guard because it is pretty interesting. Rani is so lucky that Janna is confined to the tree because she would have beat her ass for sure. Look at her cower, little shit. Speaking of Janna, she has an interest in Kion and wants her shitbag of a granddaughter to let them in because, like a reasonable person, she knows that Kion must be hurting and it's also something familiar to her. Here's the thing. This little pretentious asshole puts up an entire act to make it seem like she's a kind and generous person that sees the good in the guard and lets them through, even though it was a direct order from the queen and not something she wanted to do. She specifically states in the most annoyed and disconvenienced tone,
But the queen was actually excited to hear about the strange lion's roar. I guess so, which means we must welcome the lion and his friends to the Tree of Life.
as well as not even telling them that the queen wanted to let them in regardless if Kion sacrificed himself for Ono.
But anyone who is willing to put their friends' well-being before their own is worthy as well.
And this development in Kion and Rani's behavior doesn't even change her attitude towards the guard in the slightest, as in the next episode she wants them gone immediately.
Is Kion healed yet?
Rani, you sound just like him. It's going to take time.
I hope it doesn't take too long. Kion and the Lion Guard are nothing but trouble.
I don't think you need to be a trained medical profession to understand that healing takes more than a single day. Why do you protect a hospital if you want the people in physical and mental distress to leave immediately because they inconvenience you? What kind of bullshit is that? Imagine going to therapy and talking to a therapist about everything bothering you and they just go, okay, can you leave now? You've stated your problem already. That'll be $240, please. Again, how do people like this character? She was established as an antagonist to the guard to specifically create conflict in the episode. And like a genuine asshole antagonist, not an interesting motives one or one that was developed in a good way. If fucking Thurston the zebra has more development than one of your main characters, you have not done this right. Lake of Reflection just supports my claims even more, but let's just put the clip in so you don't have to take my word for it.
Your team did help, Kion, but from now on, follow my lead.
What? But Kion's great at taking the lead.
I know Kion has potential to be a great leader, but...
Yeah, that's low even for Rani. And in the exact same episode, this exchange happens.
If that's true, then it's time for us to go back to the Pride Lands.
Except, I'm not sure Kion believes he can lead the Lion Guard without the roar.
Girl, you told him he had potential to be a great leader, and that's been Kion's whole thing for his entire life. He's going through imposter syndrome right now. What the hell is wrong with you? And Journey to the Pride Lands is just... no. Kion specifically mentions that Rani didn't want him there, and...
You mean about never being welcome at the Tree of Life?
That was a while ago.
Bitch, that was like a week ago. You only started liking him when his mental health got better, and if that just isn't terrible for both sides, I don't know what is.
Funny how things can change once you get to know someone.
Yeah, sure it is. Hilarious that you wanted to deny someone from being healed and wanted him to leave for 5 days out of 8, but no, you love him now because he has control of his godlike powers and that gives you a political advantage. This is not love, this is tyranny, and they're presumably teenagers getting married. I forgot to add that one on the list. Like, did no one else realize this? Come on, man. That's just not cool. In conclusion, all of this is the fault of the incompleteness of this part of the season. I don't want to blame the writers here, but I feel as if I have to. We know nothing about Rani at the beginning, and we learn nothing when the show ends, potentially at fault because of the rushed time they had to complete the season in and considering the change of direction. The focus was more so on the journey rather than the destination, and so many new characters suffered from that. All I've seen from her is being a bitch because we hardly had time to explore her, so rewriting her is actually quite simple. We just trade her with Nirmala. Obviously not generally the characters, as there's an evident age difference, and that's gross, but the personalities and roles. Why couldn't Rani be a gentle healer and a queen? Or generally have the understanding and gentleness of Nirmala while also getting the most screen time with Kion? Rani hardly speaks to Kion in the show, and there's actually no build-up to their relationship forming the way the show puts it. She doesn't even need a scar at all. It's only ever brought up when her and Kion relate to each other, and even that's not done very well because we're never told how she gets it or any form of backstory. If we did, Kion would have the opportunity to talk about his own past more and have Rani understand and relate to him a lot more. If Rani's gonna be a bitch in the first episode, why not have her clearly learn along with Kion? Because that sure doesn't happen besides her berating Kion and then being surprised that he can lead after knowing him at his worst and only at his worst. She changes in a flash to be kind, and that's just not a very good way to show development. What I'm getting at is, if the goal was to make a connection with Rani and Kion, it would have made so much more sense for her to be the one healing him. All hail President Nirmala and stay mad. Now, I may be way too old for this shit, but at least I don't death threaten people for having strong opinions on a fictional character, am I right? Never change, Lion King fandom. Never change. And if you still like her after all of this, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you can enjoy something I can't. Just don't be a dick about it and you're fine. Okay, bye!